This story now, the DA is calling on Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu to appoint more doctors to assist in reducing the disability social grant waiting list backlog. Nearly 20,000 new and renewed SASSA disability grant beneficiaries are on the waiting list for doctors' assessments. Well, for a response on this, we are now joined via Skype, or via Zoom rather, by the Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu. Minister, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. Just a short while ago, I spoke to the DA MP Alexandra Abrahams. We saw the statement by the DA MP Alexandra Abrahams responding to you. She's a member of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development. You've briefed Parliament. You've said that there are nearly 20,000 new and renewed SASSA disability grant beneficiaries assessments that need to be done. They are calling on you to employ more doctors. How do you respond to that? Okay. Minister, sorry, Minister, I can see you're talking, but maybe you have muted your microphone. We can't hear you. We're not getting the sound. Are you there now?
Yes, I'm there, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we can hear you now loud and clear.
Yes, I did hear your question, and thank you very much for that, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to explain what is happening right now. Yes, I agree. I briefed Parliament on what we're trying to do to improve the situation, because then what is happening is not something that's happening because of anything else, but we are affected by COVID-19. So the normal processes and procedures that we were used to do in the past used to be very quick, and we didn't have that much of this problem. But due to COVID-19, we have many of the doctors who are employed by the department, working together with the Department of Health, have not been able to open up in order for them to be able to see the people with disability in order for us to process them. Now that we are at level 2, we think that there will be an improvement, because then people are going to be able to go to the doctors and get the certificates, and we are going to be able to process. But let me also say that we didn't just sit there and do nothing about it, because we understood that many of the people with disability are going to be affected by not receiving their grants. We extended the ones that were already in the system, and those ones do not have a problem. Where we have a problem is particularly with the new applicants who, because of COVID, have not been able to go through to the centers, to the hospitals or centers, or to the private doctors.
Now, Minister, on the extension, Minister, sorry to cut in there. On the extension, normally these reports are valid for 3 months. You said those that were already in the system, due to COVID, you've extended them. So you've extended them beyond their 3 months, which means they'll still be valid, and those beneficiaries will get their grants.
Yes, those beneficiaries will get their grants. That's what I'm saying right now.
Now, another suggestion, just on the period that the assessment report stays valid for, the DA's MP I've just interviewed mentioned, that's Alexandra Abrahams, that they would like you to consider going forward beyond the world of COVID, not to have 3-month permits, but reports, assessment reports, but have the validity of those going forward beyond COVID-19 being valid for more than 3 months. How would you respond to that?
Look, the challenge we have here is that we also have issues of fraud and a whole range of things that really make it very difficult for us to work. And therefore, because we are also accountable, and the Auditor General also wants to make sure that the money that has to be paid to people is paid to the right people. We want to make it easy. I can guarantee you that we want to make it easy. We feel the pain of people taking too long to get their resources and all. But on the other hand, there's got to be an appreciation and understanding that we've got to make sure that the money goes to the right people.
So what measures now would you put in place for the new applicants? You've said those that existed already, you've extended their payments for now so they can get their grants. What about the new applicants?
Yes, the new applicants, as I say to you right now, that with the level 2 of COVID-19, we're going to be able to open up a bit. We are still to come back as a Department of Social Development after the announcement and after the directions that, the regulations that have been announced by Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. We have to work out our own directives, and part of the directives will have to deal specifically with this issue of these grants and where are we going to try and open, how are we going to expose, how are we going to extend and assist people much more. Okay. I do want to say to you that right now, as SASSA, for instance, in particular, SASSA has the highest numbers of people that have died in our space. We lost one of the best, Koni Nxumalo, right now, who's been in the forefront of this. So we are also affected by what is happening, and we're doing the best that we can to make sure that people get their services, but at the same time, the workers must also be protected.
Yeah, we all understand the pressures that all sectors are under. Minister, by when do you think your regulations under level 2 will be ready to be announced to the country?
We will be making the announcement by either end of this week or next week. We've got to do it as soon as possible. We're just finalizing our directives because Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma is the one that does the regulations, and we get our directions from there, and then we finalize our own. We will be having a press briefing very soon to give the directions as to what areas have been affected positively with the announcement of a movement to level 2.
Okay, just finally, going forward, you've got 475 doctors that support SASSA nationally. They are distributed according to provinces by different numbers. Are you as government open to increasing the pool from 475 to a higher number and re-look at how you've distributed them across the provinces?
Yes, absolutely. What we want as the Department of Social Development, we've always been saying, we need to be able to get the services closer to our people so that people don't also have to be traveling long distances to get there. One of the challenges that I know, as a matter of fact, I'm not sure if Honorable Member Abrahams did speak about the challenges in the Western Cape, to say that in the Western Cape, the big challenge is more in the cities than it is in the outside. Because to get the doctors, we've advertised twice already, and SASSA was telling me that they still have a problem in getting people. And I've just said to SASSA, fine, if you've advertised twice and you're not getting people applying, let's look for another alternative. Let's also get the Department of Health to assist us in this regard.
Okay, Minister, before I let you go, in terms of your department, it is Women's Month. There's been a lot of focus on that as well. And thanks for clarifying how you're approaching the whole issue of the disability grants assessments. There's been an allegation that your department is underfunding shelters for abused women, and that's been made by an NGO called National Shelter Movement, and they've written to the president around this. How do you respond to that? Are you underfunding shelters for abused women?
No, we cannot underfund then. One of the important things that has to be appreciated and understood by everyone around is the fact that we are a Department of Social Development, yes, but we belong to a broader government. And the demands on government, especially under this period of COVID-19, the demand is quite, it's just unbelievable. The demand for assistance, the demand for support by NPOs and NGOs is very big. So we have to always work together with people. We can't be pointing fingers left, right, and center. But of course, the government has to do what government has said it was going to do. The challenges we are facing right now has really been thrown upon us by COVID-19, where the demand is much more than it has always been. We are also engaging, by the way, with the Solidarity Fund, because the Solidarity Fund is the one that got a bulk of money. So we are having a meeting with them to say to them, let's not only just look at the issues of food and food distribution and also the issues of food parcels and so forth. There are other areas that need much more money. So we are hoping that as we engage with Treasury, as we engage with the Solidarity Fund, we will be able to get a little bit more of the resources. But one of the messages that I also want to send to people out there is that government will do everything it can to give the money, but we also want to see value for that money. We spend 7.2 billion per year as a department, giving this money to NGOs and NPOs. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying that it's important for the public to actually know that this government spends 7.2 billion every year on supporting NPOs and NGOs.
Okay, that's them broadly. Would you promise the abused women or guarantee the abused women of our country today in this scourge that we're facing of GBV, that going forward, beyond COVID-19, as you look at the funding, as you access different funds, as you've just explained, you will direct sufficient enough financial support to shelters for abused women?
Yes, absolutely. Remember that it's not just the department at national level that is responsible for this. We share the budget equitably to all the provinces. We also want at all times to make sure that the MECs of the provinces, the HODs of the provinces also have a touch of who is where, who's actually doing a good job in terms of supporting women. We cannot, as a government of the African National Congress, be found not to be supporting women who are abused, because we are in the forefront, long time before even today and the future, in making sure that the women of South Africa become safe from abuse. In fact, then, as far as I'm concerned, the whole issue of abuse against women and children, I wish we could have less women running to shelters and more women being able to take care of themselves. Hence, my broader approach to say, Department of Human Settlement, help us here. Department of Health, help us here. Department of Small Business Development, help us so that we empower women so that they can be able not to depend on partners who abuse them because they've got nowhere to go. The entire issue of empowerment of women must be at the center of everything, because it's not nice to always think that we must extend the shelters. Extending the shelters should be saying to the nation, we've got a bigger problem, a problem of women who are abused, who always have to find somewhere to go. My view is that going forward, we must be able to support women much, much more than just fixing the shelters. And may I also say, I do have support from many of the ministers. I want to say here, Minister Patricia de Lille, I will single her out in particular because she has been able to give us houses and places that belong to government for us to fix them so that this can be conducive for women who are abused.
Well, while you are outlining the long-term view, and very briefly, Minister, as we conclude here, yes, that's your long-term view. Women must be empowered. I guess you'll have a lot of support for that. But whilst we're having GBV, while those women shelters exist, those shelters for abused women exist, you surely have to support them better and more at this stage from a short-term to medium-term perspective.
I fully agree with you. As a department, we do have the plan, and we are working very closely with the provinces, because then I also do want to say part of what should be important for us as government is to empower and make sure that local structures, provincial structures who are at the front line, these women run to shelters in provinces, shelters at local structures. They don't run to shelters in Pretoria where our offices are. So my long-term view, even in the short term, I'm saying let us make sure that what the president has spoken about in particular is saying that let's have the district development model and be able to respond closer to the people is something that we need to do. Also, as a message that I'd like to say is that in the past, we used to have street committees. It's important for us to make sure that when we deal with gender-based violence against women and children, we must be able to be closer, house to house, street to street, community to community. Hence our call to the community leaders to know what is happening around them. The mayors and councillors and all of them, they are closer to the people. We're saying to them, they must know what is happening street to street. And from a national perspective, we will do everything we can to support them.
Thank you very much, Minister Lindiwe Zulu, for your time. Thank you.